Gentlemen, you've run the gauntlet. That is the last of the questions here this evening. I'm going to turn it over to you for closing statements now, and I just want to remind you, you have 3 minutes for your closing statements. I'll let you start off, Mr. Martin.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me here tonight. I appreciate all the people out in Pocahontas County that listen. I don't know that you've heard a whole lot of difference here tonight. Maybe that's because we've known one another. Gene and I have known one another for a long time. There is a difference. Gene is not as much of the courtroom advocate as I am. I want cases to go to trial. I think it's very, very important that cases are tried before juries and that the people of this county, Pocahontas County citizens, get to make that decision. I am not a great fan of plea bargaining. Plea bargaining is necessary. However, if the state is going to enter into plea bargaining, then it has to get a full measure of what it needs from the defendant, the perpetrator of the crime. Again, with drug court, we have a little bit of a difference there. I'm not a big fan of drug court. I've seen the abuses way too often, and there are successes, but I think the abuses far outweigh the successes. And I'm not just saying that with regard to Pocahontas County, I'm saying that with regard to statewide. Drugs are the biggest problem that the prosecutor faces. They are the biggest problem that the people face. As I said earlier, the drugs can be specifically related to the other crimes such as spousal abuse, such as child abuse, such as the petty thefts, the breaking and enterings, and all those things. And that touches almost everybody's lives. You know, we've impaneled juries in this county and other counties, both Gene and I, and we've had a difficult time getting jurors because there's so many people on the proposed jury panels who have a member of their family who's been addicted to drugs, a member of their family who has gone to jail for drugs, and we find out this information during the process of selecting juries, and it's very, very difficult. And people who have been, you know, their lives have been touched by the abuse, grandparents, brothers, sisters, and all that, all stemming from the drugs. The same thing with regard to the petty thefts, the breaking and enterings, and all that. When victims of crime come into court and they're looking for some measure of justice, and we find out that the reason that this person stole their car or broke into their house was to feed a drug habit, it is a horrible problem, and it feeds 99% of the crime. And I think it is very, very important that people understand that, and people understand I'm very hard on those things, and will be. Thank you. Appreciate y'all having me here tonight.
Mr. Simmons, go
Yes.
right ahead, sir.
I would agree to a certain extent, and I don't want you to think Bob and I are holding hands up here, but we agree on certain things, and I agree in relation to the enforcement of the drug laws. But I think we don't want to convey a different image to you as to what a prosecutor does here in the county. Probably 10% of our time is spent with trial work or trying drug cases, etc. Most of our work, or a lot of our work, is spent with abuse and neglect cases, because abuse and neglect cases continue for a period of possibly some cases as much as a year and a half, and the prosecutor has to spend a lot of time in those particular cases. We do truancy cases. We do, in some cases, we have domestic cases where there's violence involved. We also handle cases where juveniles get in trouble. We handle those cases too. So the prosecutor's office has a large area that they have to encompass. And I think the real key in this particular race is experience. I think when you really look at it and realize that I have 16 years experience, but I have an assistant who's backing me up who has 18 years experience in Nicholas County, which is a larger county than Pocahontas, so that we're able to, in a short period of time, just give you 34 years experience. And I think if you look back at our success over the past 4 years, you'll be able to see, just look at the records, and you'll be able to see the number of cases that we've handled. We'll be able to see the number of truancy cases, how we've done in relation to schools. And we ask you to judge us. If you don't think we've done a good job, the ballot's there. But we think we're able to offer you 34 years experience, the ability to handle any type case, not just necessarily a trial case, because that's only maybe 10% at the most. But most of the other work is the small things that have to be done. And we think that we're well qualified to handle those. And just by judging the record, I think you'll see that we have done that. Thank you.